Welcome back to another day, another episode of the Daily Grind. I'm your host, 30NSG, and on today's show, we're going to be talking about Xbox paid more than Stalker 2 development costs to make it exclusive. So we'll have a conversation about that. We're going to watch a video from Math Chief, which is talking about a Star Wars Galactic, I think it's called Contention, which is a mod inside of Squad. There's a bunch of videos out there, but this person has like the overall of it. So we're going to watch this. It's called The Star Wars Game is a Dream Come True. Basically, it's Battlefront 3, but inside of Squad. If we have, after that, we're going to watch another Star Wars Zero Company. Tons of new info. This comes from Star Wars HQ because that game's coming out. I'm interested in it. I want to hear some more stuff. I'm not sold on it just yet, so we're going to watch that as well. If we have time after that, there is a game that came out like 8 months ago. I think I could have sworn we showed this on stream. IGN had it 8 months ago. It's called is it Zeverland, the official gameplay trailer. It's about a 6-minute long video. It looks kind of ambitious. If we have time, we'll watch that. And then we're also going to talk about Sony has approved, or Sony's been approved, to launch its own stablecoin, which will start out next year in 2027. So we'll talk about that as well. If you guys like what I do, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning until noon Eastern. We just cover news stories, give you my thoughts and opinions. Get your thoughts and opinions in chat. We watch some videos as well. If you like it, like I said, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. What's going on, Altern, Aku, Brain Eclipse, Roic? Who am I missing? Anybody else? Jesse Mack, good morning. All right, let's get started here with the first thing, which is Xbox paid more than Stalker 2's development costs to make it exclusive. Now, this is funny, okay? Because not only did they pay to get it exclusive and pay for all of the, the entire development cost, just based on this. I haven't read the article, okay? Just based off the article, right? They paid more than the Stalker 2 development cost to make it exclusive. Now, remember, this was on Game Pass as well, and then it left Game Pass a couple months after it launched, but it was also time exclusive when it was on Xbox. Now, we talk all the time on here how third-party games, it's good for them because they get paid up front. They get a portion of the money. Now, this was a timed exclusive, and it was also on Game Pass, and they made all their development costs back. So, at that point, as a business, it doesn't really matter if you went on to sell tens of millions of copies because there's no loss off of you, right? You've made all your money back before you've even sold one copy because of stuff like this, right? If you guys like what I do, we do this Monday through Thursday from 10 o'clock in the morning until noon Eastern. So Xbox paid more than Stalker 2 development costs to make it exclusive. So Stalker 2 was financial success before it even got out in the hands of players. Okay? In a new interview with YouTube, OLD Boy, GSC, Game World founder, is it Sergi? We'll just say Sergi, spoke about the game's launch and the decision to release it as a timed exclusive on Xbox and thought it would be go into full details of the financials. He did make it clear, though, that the financials worth it for the company. Now, before going any further, if you want, you go to Insider Gaming and follow them, right? Xbox covered development costs. Now, what was his name again? Sergey? So Sergey says that the company understood that Sony and Microsoft are at war and each other for the attention of gamers. Okay, he also said that Microsoft being successful on the stock market meant that they had the money to invest in games they'd like. One of those games was 2024's Stalker 2, Heart of Chernobyl. Okay, it says we took more than the cost of Stalker 2. He said in a translation, it paid for itself before the first day. Now, Sergey said that the reason Xbox was so interested in Stalker 2 is because of how well the game's trailer performed online. He says that this is also Xbox looked at the number of the views and the trailer, and they quickly joined. They brought in the documents for signing it in about a week, he said. Okay, Stalker 2 released on November 20th, 2024 for Xbox Series X, S, and PC. In the first 5 months, the game also had sold over 3 million copies and reached over 6 million total players. It wasn't until November 20th, 2025 when the one-year exclusive window of Xbox ended and the game found its way on PlayStation 5. Now, what do you think of Xbox paying for more than the cost of the game's development of Stalker 2? Now, again, this is just a small portion. Now, I could have sworn, wasn't wasn't Stalker 2 on Game Pass? Or did they take it off Game Pass at the last second? Right? Wasn't it on Game Pass for a bit? Gotta look it up. Stalker 2 Hard Chernobyl was day one on Game Pass. Yeah. Yeah. So here it is, right? So when we talk about Game Pass and we talk about Xbox and they say it's not profitable and they say all this other stuff, and we always talk about the AAA games and how they make the first-party titles on Game Pass and it's not worth their money because it's way too much money. Stalker 2, now let's look at what the cost of Stalker 2 was, just to get the ballpark, if they talk about it. Okay, Stalker 2 Chernobyl, budget of Chernobyl, not been publicly disclosed. Okay, now publicly, circulated estimates, community discussion, development, marketing budget around $80 million mark. Okay, $80 million mark. So just think about this for a second. So Xbox, for a third-party game that wanted to money had it just for exclusive, for a timed exclusive, they paid $80 million, up to $80 million to get them onto Xbox and also Game Pass. Right? So every single time we talk about third-party games coming onto Game Pass, they're like, oh, it's not worth it for the games. Microsoft is paying these companies. Now, I'm not saying they're paying everyone $80 million, obviously. There's much more smaller budget games that are on Game Pass. Okay. Now, again, 80 million is not 100 million, right? And 100 million. So they made all their money back. And this is what's great about it for developers that have games that are perceived popular, right? Because they said, we want you exclusive because of the internet buzz that you had around Stalker 2. Okay. They hyped it up. They went on to sell 3 million copies. Now, what was the price of Stalker 2 when it came out? What was the price? Price at launch? Was it a $60 game, $70 game, $50 game? What was it? $60 game. Okay. $60 game. So now we know a rough estimate of $80 million budget. So we know they sold 3 million copies. Times that by $59.99, right? And that's $179 million. So on top of the 80 million they recouped, straight up, before they even sold anything, they already made their cost back, right? Or their production. And now the 3 million sales they had was on top of that, which is 179 million. Now, obviously, Xbox might have had a deal and said, we get our money back first, or blah blah blah. So if they do, then they made 100 million off of that, and there was another additional 3 million people that played it on Game Pass, and Xbox made money off of that for the month, for the month that they paid for. So when people say that Game Pass is bad, here's another example that Game Pass wasn't bad for them, because they paid for it up front. They paid for a timed exclusive. Now that's what they were paying for, right? But they also, because they paid the time exclusive, said, hey, we're going to throw it onto Game Pass as well. And they're like, all right, cool. We already made all our money back, so whatever we sell, we sell. And that's what happened. And they went to go on to sell 3 million copies, made $179 million off of that. And there you go, right? So I hate when people tell you that, well, Xbox is bad. Xbox is bad, Game Pass is bad for developers, and yet third-party developers get paid money up front, and they make money on top of that. And every time they bring up bad Xbox and bad Game Pass, they always bring up the first-party titles, like South of Midnight and stuff like that, because it costs way too much, and they're not going to recoup that money. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments section down below. What do you think? Right? Was Xbox ridiculous in paying the upfront cost and where they got the entire money back before they even sold one copy? Or was this a smart business move for them and also for Stalker? Now, obviously, if you're a developer, you're going to take this deal. Why wouldn't you take this deal? You worked 6 years, 7 years to make a video game, right? What was the production time? Stalker 2, Chernobyl, in production for, or how long? In production for, no, in production. That's not how you. No, stop it. How long? It was in production for 12 years. was in active production for 12 years. It took 12 years, $80 million, and these guys took the money up front, made all their money back after 12 years. It's a no-brainer for them. But these are just my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments section down below. Please make sure you share, like, subscribe. Let me see what you guys are saying. Ray says 80 million is better than South of Midnight's 100 million. Ron says make a game, sell a game. Travis says I had no idea it was already 9. But woohoo. More Zero Company. Game is looking great. Yeah, we're going to watch a video on that a little bit. Jesse Mack says to put the 80 million game on Game Pass left in the water to me. What do you mean? To put $80 million game on Game Pass left it in the water to me. Oh, like you didn't care. Stalker 2, did it ever fix that hot mess? Here's the thing. I don't know if they did, but does it matter, Crowded? Because they made all their money from the game up front, and they could take their sweet, sweet time. Crowded says the Ukrainians may not be the best game devs, but they sure are sticking to the Russians. Oh, yeah. Well, I saw that. They're taking back, or they took over like 80 miles of territory or stuff like that. I saw a news report with no soldiers on the ground. With no soldiers on the ground. Isn't this crazy, though? Right? 12 years of development time. And because they showed a trailer and people were hyped about it, Microsoft's like, we'll give you $80 million. That's crazy. And they made their money back. And they made their money back on the investment of the $80 million because they sold 3 million copies, and they also had another 3 million on Game Pass to play it. Now, I don't know if they actually played it. Did they ever fix it? Let me see. Stalker 2. Did they patch? All right, let's see here. Yes, GSC Game World was actively patched and fixed many of the game's initial issues, and they have continuously rolled out major patches or updates, such as patch 1.8 update, 1.6 Night and the Hunter, patch 1.9, which included bug squashes, gameplay improvements, and free content expansions. So they did fix it, but how long afterwards did they fix it? Let me see how long that took, right? All right. Let's see. World just 9 days after the November 20th launch to release the first major update, delivered over 650 fixes. Following an aggressive first step, the studio constantly deployed patches and hot fixes. Launch window was November 2024. First major patch was November 29, 2024. Ongoing enhancements through 2025 to 2026. Over subsequent months and into a major 1.7, developer success tackled significant performance stutters, especially on the Xbox console, and complex AI issues, bringing the game launch more of a stable, polished state. So it took them over a year to squash all the bugs and patches. Another reason to not buy a game day one. No pre-orders, no day one, no full price for a half-ass game, right? But 3 million people bought this game. And it was broke, buggy, and unfinished when it was launched, but they were successful. They were successful before it even launched. Grand Theft Auto is the same thing, right? It doesn't matter if Grand Theft Auto, which I don't think is going to happen, but it could. I don't want to say never, right? If Grand Theft Auto comes out and it has massive bug issues and problems or whatever, it doesn't matter because they made all their money back before the game even launched. Right? So all that shows the developers, if it doesn't matter if it's Stalker developers or if it's Grand Theft Auto developers or Cyberpunk developers, right? All it shows is that we don't have to complete the actual game because the people are willing to pay before they ever see it, before they ever play it, and we'll make all our money back and we can fix it and take our sweet ass time. Grand Theft Auto has already done this before with Grand Theft Auto Online from Grand Theft Auto 5. It was a broken mess and it took them 18 months to fix it. 18 months to fix all the problems that were in it. But at that point, it doesn't really matter because you're a prisoner at that point. You paid for it. Now you just have to wait. You're like, they'll fix it. Maybe I'll check back the next patch. I'll check back the next patch. Oh, they finally fixed it. There's still things in Fallout 76 that they haven't fixed, right? 9 years later. It's what it is. Morning, Wonder Rose. Morning, Ray. Morning, Travis. Morning, Jason. Ray says they fixed it when it came to PlayStation and left Game Pass. Right, they already got the money, though, up front. Altern says now they explains why Stalker 2 was so broken and buggy when it released. They didn't have to try to make a good game at all, right? Because they already got their money. 12 years of development, got all the money up front before they even had one person play it, and they fixed it over the next 18 months. Jason says 80 million to not give a shit anymore. Travis says, so what I'm hearing is Grand Theft Auto is everything wrong with the industry, and that checks out. Well, no, it's not just Grand Theft Auto, though. There's you can go way farther back. Right? Fallout 76. You can go to Cyberpunk, right? You can go to Fallout. You can go to Battlefield, right? There's way more games before Grand Theft Auto came out. And if you're talking about the Grand Theft Auto Online, the game itself was fine. Grand Theft Auto 5. It was the online that was broke. But at that point, it doesn't matter. At least they took a ticket from a big-ass corporation, unlike Cyberpunk. It's true. Shh, Mike, don't try to defending Grand Theft Auto. It's not worthy of it. I mean, I'm going to just say how it is. It's not just that game. It's AAA gaming in general, right? It's AAA gaming in general. Crowded says, did some developers recently say that 60 frames per second is dead? I don't know. And if they did, let me know where that article is. I would love to look at it. Okay. Jack says it's not the first time Xbox let this happen. It won't be the last time anybody remembered Hellblade 2. They also locked it to 30 to give us a cinematic experience. Yeah, but we're talking about the story that we're talking about is that they paid upfront, the entire upfront cost of Stalker 2 before Stalker 2 came out. But people say that Game Pass is bad, right? Because Stalker 2 came out on Game Pass, and they was also timed exclusive. But they took the entire lump sum of their cost up front. That means they made money before they even sold a copy. They didn't have to sell it. They could literally go, you know what? Xbox could have bought it and said, we're not releasing it at all. That's the problem, right? But the reason I brought this up, the reason that this triggered me is because people tell me that Game Pass is bad for games. Yet they sold 3 million copies. And then they also got 3 million people more on Game Pass to play it, and they made all their money up front before. And this is why I said Game Pass is not bad for third-party games. It's bad for first-party games because it cost way too much, right? They cost way too much. You can't put a $100 million game onto Game Pass. Crowd says, Lono had it in his thumbnail this morning. I don't know. I would have to, if there's a story out there, you let me know. I'm not going to go off another content creator. If there's a story, an article, then I'll read it and we can talk about it. What's going on, Mo? They're preparing for the news for Grand Theft Auto so people don't get too mad. Is that what it is? And it launched in a bad state. But that's AAA games, right? That is my point. This is why we always talk about this, Jax, that we don't pre-order, we don't buy day one, we don't give them a full price for a half-ass game. Sounds like a bad business plan? What sounds like a bad business plan? As a developer, get all your money up front and make your money? I don't know, that sounds like a pretty good business plan. Like, this is a successful game regardless. Regardless of a broken buggy when it came out, they made all their money up front and a profit. Eclipse says, no one's worse than EA. They tried to sell microtransactions on a single-player asset of a game recently. That's what you call a attention-grabbing title? That they made their money back? You're talking about this title or someone else's title? This title is actually true. They made their money back. They got paid up front the whole cost of the game. Crowd says, sounds about right. How wild is that we still haven't seen an actual gameplay for GTA 6 yet? And it made potentially $5 billion. Can you imagine? Can you imagine you haven't seen one iota of gameplay officially, right? There was a leak a couple of years ago. The game cost maybe $2 billion to make, and they've potentially made $5 billion. $5 billion. That's like 50 million copies. If it's true. Not on the developer end, I meant on the Xbox. Well, they made their money back. They made their money back, Eldon. It's not a bad business. This is what I'm saying. Game Pass can every month on Game Pass they make, let's say, profit about 100 million, 120 million, right? For one game they paid 80 million. But they made their money back because it sold 3 million copies, and I'm assuming as a business person, they took the money up front like a movie theater, right? Like the studio takes the money up front. Right? They give them the money to make the thing. They make the money and they're like, okay, we're going to take ours first and then you guys get what's left over. So if they made 180 million and they paid 80 million for it, the company made their 80 million, right? All their costs are covered. They then sold 3 million copies. Xbox gets their percentage of it and they're like, oh, and we're going to take the rest of it and we're good. It's not a bad business plan. That's actually good. The bad part is that the game was broken buggy when it came out. Jesse Max says 60 frames per second just added. Update now. The 60 frames per second patch will be $10 DLC, probably. Roic says Game Pass is amazing for smaller studios. They can get their game out there in front of more people, and they could have it, and it wasn't on Game Pass. Game Pass is great for smaller studios, like you're saying, that are under a certain budget, right? Again, Expedition 33 made a shit ton of money. And it was on Game Pass, and a lot of people played it on Game Pass and didn't pay the money. But it brought people to play the game that wouldn't have played it because they wouldn't have bought it in the first place, but then they did play it. Mo says anything that is most of these devs get their money back just for being in Game Pass. Even if the game is trash, but if the game is great, like Expedition 33, it'll sell as well. Correct. A lot of these smaller studios are getting money up front, or they make a deal, right? Again, Phil Spencer said back in the day, each one's different. So I'm not going to say every game gets paid up front. It all depends on what type of game it is. Ray says, I waited for the game to be fixed. It left Game Pass before it happened. Well, this is unfortunate for a lot of the stuff, right? Now you have to wait for it to go on a mega sale before you buy it. Doom sold like shit. That was well received. It sold like shit because most people played it on Game Pass, and it was over $100 million. That's the problem, Jason. If it wasn't on Game Pass, it would have sold 2-3 million copies, and it would have been very successful. Again, that's a first-party title compared to a third-party title that they paid for or asked to come onto Game Pass. I think the last couple of Dooms didn't sell. You know what? Let me look it up. All right, let's see what this says here. All right, so Doom 2026, the franchise revival was sold over 6 million units on PC platforms alone. Okay, Doom Eternal 2020, it doubled the launch weekend revenue of 2026's reboot and generated over 450 million in revenue in the first 9 months and sold over 6.6 million copies on Steam. Doom the Dark Ages in 2025, the most recent prequel reached 3 million players, 7 times faster than Doom Eternal, setting a studio record for the fastest launch. So it did sell 3 million copies, and I'm assuming this is just on Steam. It doesn't tell us, obviously, the total sales. It just said it 3 million players 7 times faster. It reached 3 million players. Yeah, see, it didn't sell well because they're talking about players, not numbers. The other two stats I said is 6 million units sold, 6.6 million copies on Steam. But here they just talk about it reached 3 million players. So it didn't even it didn't even hit the bar. They're talking about players, right? Not actual units. So people that were interested in Doom still didn't play it or buy it because they didn't like maybe the slow pace of it. I don't know. But it wasn't well received. That would be correct. 3 million players, remember? They don't talk about numbers. They just say players. All right. Jesse Mack says, what if they don't show any gameplay at all through until the release, only the pictures and the trailers? They'll probably show it, I would say, maybe like a month or two before. I think they will. Ray says Doom also required ray tracing hardware. Let's see here. Right. It required ray tracing. It pissed people off. Yep. Co-op would have made Doom way better. That's one of the reasons it wasn't interested in it. El Dente says they made $300 off of me. All right. The next thing I want to talk about, guys, is Sony approved to launch Sony Stablecoin. Now, miraculously, no video game outlets are talking about this at all, at least yet. Okay? When you look it up online, it only comes through the financial areas. It doesn't come through any of the actual gaming channels. Okay? There might be some people talking about it on YouTube, but for the actual people that cover games and Sony and Xbox, no one has said anything about this yet. Okay? So Sony approved to launch a Sony stablecoin. Okay? Sony banked a secured conditional approval from the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, OCC, the U.S. federal regulator, and characters of the supervised national banks to establish a wholly owned U.S. National Trust Bank subsidiary called the Connectia Trust with 40 million capitalization. Okay. So the stablecoin news and the Connection Trust is built to do a statement dated on July 6th. Sony Bank said it plans to establish this trust this month, and the unit will issue to manage a dollar-denominated stablecoin, a digital token pegged a 1-to-1 to a U.S. dollar, designed to function as a payment rail inside Sony's consumer ecosystem. Okay, Sony Bank, part of the Sony Financial Group, previously told Nikiti that the envisions U.S. customers using the stablecoin to pay for video games, anime subscriptions, and other digital content across Sony's broader platforms. So now you're not even going to be able to use money. You have to convert your money into stablecoin. That way you can't take it away. Because once you convert it, I guarantee you it's stuck there, and you won't be able to do it, right? The framing positions it less as of a financial product competing on liquidating metrics with the USDC or the USDT, and more than an ecosystem settlement layer tied to one of the world's largest entertainment brands. It says, quote, the establishment of the trust subsidiary is intended to contribute to the development of medium to long-term business foundation for the Sony Financial Group's digital asset business. The Sony Bank said in a statement, as the National Trust Bank, will be able to hold the customer's assets, but will not be permitted to accept cash, deposits, or make loans or standard concentrates of the class of the OCC Characteristic Institute. Okay. Sony's moves fits a broader pattern of crypto regulations of the OCC, conditionally approved the Ripple, the Circle, the BitGo, Fidelity Digital assets Paxos of National Trust Bank's characters of 2025. Sony's trust applications is one of roughly of a dozen cryptos related character requests currently before the agencies. All right, so there you go. They are making their own stuff that's going to be basically by 2027, right? So get ready, Sony fans. Get ready, Sony fans. Because not only are you not going to be able to own digital or own physical stuff anymore, but to purchase anything through the Sony store, if it's through Crunchyroll, if it's through their PlayStation store, if it's through whatever that they're doing, you're going to have to take your money, convert it into a stable coin, and then use the stable coin. Basically, it's like a V-Bucks, right? Basically, you're turning your actual money into V-Bucks into the thing where once you put them in, you're not going to be able to get them out, okay? And that's where it is. So you won't be able to pay with actual cash for a game. You're going to have to put a deposit in. So they have your money up front, and they're just going to hold on to it for you until you decide that you're going to use it to pay for something, right? It's amazing. It's amazing that everyone's just like, let it. It's already too late. More and more things are coming out about how discs are bad and how they can break. Okay? It's amazing to me how everyone is just kind of, it's just what it is. It's just what it is. Now, I've done my part. Okay? I don't own a PlayStation, right? Not because of what's happening now. I didn't own a PlayStation because of what was happening 6 years ago when COVID was happening and couldn't get a hands-on PlayStation. And at this point, I'm kind of looking at it going, well, thank God. Thank God I'm not part of this, because I wouldn't be a part of it anymore, because I would stop buying Sony stuff. And then I wouldn't be buying a PlayStation 6. I'm not buying a PlayStation 6. I'm not buying an Xbox, the next Xbox, as of right now. Okay? I'm not buying anything right now because, one, I'm not paying $1,200 for a console. I'll be moving over to upgrading my PC or buying a dedicated gaming PC. Okay? I'm not dealing with any of this, right? No, sir. You guys can have your digital games. You guys can have Sony all you want, right? Microsoft will follow suit. All these people are going to follow suit. They want to have control of your entire finances from bolts to nuts, okay? They want the whole thing. All right, let me see what you guys are saying. Jesse Mack says Sony scam coin. Sarge says, wait, what? Sony stable coin. Yeah. Let's see. Jason says this is the next Trump coin. Yeah, but this is you're actually going to be using this. Gaming landscape just keeps getting better, doesn't it, boys? It does. It does. Altern says, good day to stop being a Sony fan. Sarge says, I need to know who are the top 3 guys in the that are in charge of Sony right now. Who is making these decisions? Ray says, PlayStation fan logic. This is great. Sony will be able to cut off the corrupt U.S. bank system. Jesse Mack says, once again, Sony has gone full circle. Circle of stupid and greed. Ron says, Sony is my friend, and they will not screw me over. Rogue says, so at first it was only digital, and now you have to have their own currency. Get the fuck out of here, Sony. Yeah, they're going to implement it in 2027. They're going to implement it in 2027, and then digital games in 2028. Give that year, boil in the pot for a year to get ready for it. Roic says, I'm so glad I went to PC. Crowded says, yeah, my main platform will stay on PC. I'm telling you, man, the gaming landscape, okay, this is how it works, right? Banks and businesses have gotten themselves, investors, suits, whatever you want to call them, have embedded themselves into the video game space. Unfortunately, during any kind of, we'll use the example of war, okay? 2 people are fighting. Let's just even go down to, instead of war, 2 people are fighting in the street. People are watching it happen, and every once in a while, there's a casualty that gets a right hook across the face, or they get involved in the thing, and they get part of the fight, right? They weren't part of the actual fight, but they get They get chucked across the face or they get hit, and now they're part of it. Okay? Casualties of war. Okay? Casualties of the fight. So these banks, these investors, these suits, these people have embedded themselves inside of these corporations that have now taken these companies, and we're talking AAA, mostly AAA, okay? And now they've embedded themselves so much that you have to bankrupt these companies. You have to bankrupt these companies because they're so embedded in these companies that if we keep supporting them, it'll never get fixed. And if you bankrupt the companies, a lot of people lose their jobs. These are the casualties that I'm talking about, okay? But in the long haul, the long vision, it would fix it because it would scare these people off going, holy shit, we thought we could get away with this. And they are, by the way. And they're getting away with it as long as possible until the customers decide enough is enough. Enough is enough. Right? They're going to keep pushing you over. They're going to keep trying. They're going to keep doing stuff. And if you're a person that's like closed-minded and you're like, you know what? I don't really care. I just want to use the thing, right? There's an example yesterday. I was watching a video, and the guy was talking about the physical digital stuff. I forget the guy's name. He's you guys will know who I'm talking about. He's a black guy that wears a cowboy hat, right? I don't know his name. I've seen him on podcasts and stuff before. I think I actually seen him on, I don't know if it was Ginger Prime's podcast or I forget who it is. Is it on Hypnotic? But he did an example, right? His example was taking away the physical and being upset. Like the people that are digital guys are upset with the physical guys because they want to keep physical. He said it's like having a TV. His name is Cowboy. Is that it? Just Cowboy? I apologize. I don't know his name, right? He says, I have a TV remote control. It's convenient because I can change the channel and stuff like that, right? Because he says he's not against digital. I'm not against digital either, right? If you want to buy digital, buy digital. But I don't want you to take away physical. He says, imagine if they took the buttons off of the television set, which some of them have done, by the way. Okay? That's not convenient anymore because if you lose the controller, right, or your controller breaks, you can't change the television. You can't turn it on. You can't do anything because they got rid of the buttons. It's like, why would you be upset if they got rid of the physical stuff? Well, because I still want to use the physical thing, right? I don't want to sit here and like wave my hand at the actual TV screen to change the channel or scream at it, right? I just want to use the simplistic controller, and if the controller's broke, go up there like we did in the old days. You know, you get hit in the back of the head, you have to walk up, change the channel, and then sit back down. Thank God there was only like 9 channels, okay? But that's what it's like. Taking away the physical because you're like, well, yeah, there's only 10% of the people that are buying physical or 15% of people buying physical. Okay. So why would you get rid of the physical? How does that affect you, the customer, if you buy digital and I buy physical? Altern says, with Sony, everything is digital. Money, games, girlfriends, consoles, clothes, all of this digital now. You're going to love it. Aku says, Sony guy are being cucked so hard right now with everything coming. God says, guess what? My Sony TV is like that. For them, Imagine. Yeah, I know there's TVs out there. I didn't know it was Sony. I do know there's TVs out there. I don't have a Sony TV. Like, that'd be so stupid. There's like no buttons on the TV. Like, how the fuck do you you have to buy a new controller? Why many black dudes on YouTube have cowboy hats? I don't know. If I ever see him, I'll be like, that's the guy I'm talking about. Sarge says, but you can buy another $3,000 controller from them. It's so convenient. PS5 says, making me want to get a backup remote for my TV now. Justin Nuff says, I hate my TVs don't have a button to change the output source and volume. Why did you buy it? Why did you buy the TV with no buttons? Because it was a good deal. It's because it was a good deal, wasn't it? You bought like 2 TVs for the price of one. That's why you did it. Crowded says, I lost the remote one day and literally couldn't turn the TV off. Yeah, see, that's fucking stupid. Not for you. Just the concept of that is fucking stupid. Like, we could save $4 billion if we don't put this plastic button on the TV set. How many people are actually turning the TV on? We'll just get rid of the physical button. El Dente says, stablecoin sounds like a fucking scam. Well, get ready. Because if you're a Sony fan, you're going to be using the scam coin. Just Enough says, great deal. Of course. Of course, you're like, man, how can this TV be so cheap? It's because they don't have buttons. Convenience. One of them, I can use my phone, but still. I'm just saying, you give them an inch, they're going to take a mile. If I buy a TV and it doesn't have fucking buttons on it, like, these are obviously, you want, is it 4K, is it 2K, whatever it is, right? First thing I do is I look at the back of the television set. I look at how many inputs it has. Then I look for buttons, okay? And I hate, the LGs are doing this now, but they put the buttons in the center, right? Instead of the sides. So now when you need to change or do something, you can't see shit because it's at the bottom. And I have my sound bar in front of my television set, so I have to move the sound bar to go into the thing to touch it, you know? So it's like, why? Let's be smart here, TV developers, people that create television sets. You might want to put the buttons instead of the bottom, right, on top. That way I don't have to bend over, look underneath, and try to, like I'm fingering it to try to figure out how to shut the television set off, right? Maybe if it was just a button on the top and you go, oh, look, I'm right here. Look at that. I can see it. Imagine. Third world problems. I'm not using I don't need to log into my phone to control my television set. I'm sorry. Not doing it. You can't beat this. You can't beat this. This is the most convenient, everyone talks about, like, great technologies in the past. This right here is one of the greatest things ever created. Okay? I can control everything with my thumb. That's it. You can't get easier than this. It's physical. I can see it. I can read it. I can control it all with this bad boy right here. Right? Some of you might do this. You guys are animals. Right? It's the thumb. The thumb is the most important thing. I was being nice, Sarge, in the full scam, and I hope whoever decided to get this gets replaced with AI. Argus says, I've seen a new smart TV with anything more than a power button in years. What? I just bought my TV last year. It's got all the buttons. Crowd says, my opinion for Sony is firmly reinforced. They're just very bad. Bad company now. No, Travis, I hate fingering electronics. Just saying. Mr. G says, I have one button. You can just hold it to turn it off. But a menu for everything else, definitely a pain. It's convenience for them. Time to make a TV with a touch bar. This is why you're looking at the button. The TV starts moaning. That's right. You're like, is that the spot? Is that right? I shouldn't have to do that to my television set. Is this right? Is that doing anything? Television, do you feel it? Is it turning on? What's happening here? What brand did I buy? I have LG. I'll tell you what, I don't need a TV either. If they start changing the television sets, I'll be like, I don't need a TV. I'll just put my projector on the wall and just put DVDs into the thing and just watch old movies. I don't care. Clip says, yeah, my new TV has one button. It turns it on, and then you can move it to the left or right, down, and then it does volume, inputs, or menu. Mine has... Mine's got 5 buttons. Yeah, the TV says, stop it. It says, stop it. All right, the next thing we're going to watch is Star Wars. We're going to watch a Star Wars thing by Math Chief. All right, it says the best of gaming. It says the Star Wars game is a dream come true. Okay, it's not all downside, people. You can buy. This is why modding is very important in gaming, right? These guys have been working on the game, I think, for like 6 years, converting everything from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5, and it's sad, but now they have to do it in Unreal Engine 6. But while they do that, there is a game that they've created here. Inside here, we're going to watch it at 14p here. Inside of Squad, they've made basically Battlefront 3, right? So here we go.
We have just had one of the biggest galactic contention updates in years, and this is exactly why I keep coming back to this project every time the team disappears for a while and then suddenly returns with something much larger than expected. I have covered galactic contention multiple times in the past because it was already one of the best mods I had ever played, not only as a Star Wars project but as a multiplayer war game in general. When the servers...
Look at the attention to detail, and this is a mod. This is not a studio of 1,000 guys. There's a group of people that basically made like a book club, but they made mods for Squad because they loved Star Wars so much, and this is what they did.
Were full and both teams were communicating properly. It created battles that official Star Wars games still have not managed to reproduce. 50 players against 50 players, clone squads coordinating with armored vehicles, droids pushing through smoke, and
this is Squad. Squad is the base of the game.
blaster fire, and entire matches turning into these long military operations where the outcome depended on communication rather than whichever player
It's a military sim, PS5.
unlocked the strongest hero. Now the developers have finally revealed the Unreal Engine 5 version, confirmed that Galactic Contention returns on July 31st, 2026, and shown that this is not simply a compatibility patch designed to bring an old mod back online. It looks like the beginning of a much larger new phase for something that was already dangerously close to becoming the Star Wars Battlefront people have wanted for years. The Unreal Engine 5 transition is important because Galactic Contention has effectively been unavailable while Squad and its modding environment changed underneath it. A lot of
there was a gap. It was like over a year that you could play the old version, but then they stopped working on it for like 9 months.
Players were beginning to wonder whether the project would survive at all, especially after months of waiting, broken compatibility, and uncertainty surrounding how much work would be required to port such an enormous total conversion. This was never a small workshop modification with a few replaced weapons and character models. The existing version already contained more than 20 maps, more than 175 gameplay layers, over 150 unit types, more than 15 packs.
Listen to all this. There's more in this game that they actually put in most like official games.
And sub-factions, at least 25 vehicle types, commander abilities, and organized galactic operations built around custom objectives and briefings. The workshop download itself sits around 46 gigabytes, which tells you how much original content is already packed inside it before this new era even begins. Rebuilding and testing all of that for Squad's Unreal Engine 5 version was clearly a serious undertaking, and the fact that the team has now attached an actual July 31st release release date to it means this long period of uncertainty is finally ending. The new reveal immediately
Can you not hear his voice?
makes the project look cleaner,
You're hearing double audio?
heavier, and much closer to a modern standalone
It might be echoing through my microphone.
Star Wars shooter. Lighting has received a major transformation through the newer engine. Environments appear more naturally illuminated. Blaster fire stands out more clearly across darker battlefields.
That's the robots talking. If you're hearing the voices, that's the audio, the game audio with them giving commands and stuff.
Materials look less flat, and the entire presentation has a stronger sense of depth than the older build. That matters more here than it would in a normal visual upgrade because Galactic Contention lives and dies through spectacle. This is a game where hundreds of colors...
Yeah, I'm assuming you're hearing the voices because he's playing online in a 50v50 match, and he's taking clips, and that's the voices you're hearing. You can literally see the voices down here in the corner.
blaster bolts can cross a battlefield while explosions, aircraft, walkers, and infantry are all operating in this same space. So better lighting and environmental rendering
No, this is PvP.
Can make the combat much easier to read, while also making those battles look closer to the massive Clone Wars sequences people remember from the films and animated series. The community reaction has been immediate, with players describing the reveal as more polished than they expected, and openly saying they are reinstalling Squad specifically because Galactic Contention is coming back. What makes this project different from Battlefront is that Galactic Contention has never been designed around turning every player into an unstoppable character, constantly clearing entire objectives.
You're just the bear guy.
Themselves. The focus remains on ordinary soldiers operating as part of a larger force, and that is exactly why the mod can sometimes feel more authentically Star Wars than the official games. You are one clone, one battle droid, one specialist, one pilot, or one crew member inside a much larger operation. You might spend a match holding a narrow entrance with your squad, while another unit establishes a forward base, or riding inside a transport while the pilot tries to avoid incoming fire long enough to land near an objective. Vehicles are not temporary rewards that appear after earning enough points. They require crews, coordination, and players willing to perform specific battlefield.
That's cool. You can get in and out of the tanks and they have the animation.
The result sits somewhere between Squad, classic Battlefront, and the gigantic combined arms warfare that Star Wars games have rarely attempted properly. Galactic Contention retains Squad's team-based foundation while replacing the modern military setting with Clone Wars factions, weapons, vehicles, and locations. That scale was already enormous before this Unreal Engine 5.
The problem, Altern, well, you're not wrong, right? Like what Roblox is doing, you know how Roblox has got the realistic, like photorealism that people are making inside of Roblox? If they could do that in Fortnite, yeah, this would be the future, right? Where they make games like this inside of Fortnite in a few years. Few months, maybe.
Update. Galactic Contention includes different clone battalions, specialized unit variations, alien groups, droid classes, commanders, gunships, walkers, armored vehicles, and maps spread across recognizable Star Wars environments. Matches are not limited to one standard conquest format either. The existing mod contains a huge number of layers that change factions, available vehicles, objectives, and overall battlefield structure, while its organized galactic
Yeah, this is more military sim, PS5. This is not like Battlefront 2 is more of arcading. I love Battlefront 2. It's one of my favorite games. It's fantastic, right? This is more military. So Squad is a military sim, and then the people inside of this game have created the Star Wars. So it's basically think of this game as like Rogue One in the films, right? This is like gritty, like you're a military company and you're out there, but it's big maps like Battlefront and stuff like that.
Operations go even further by giving communities custom missions, detailed briefings, and more coordinated scenarios than a normal public match. Those events are closer to fan-created military campaigns inside the Star Wars universe, and they show why calling Galactic Contention a mod no longer fully explains what it has become. The Unreal Engine 5 release also arrives after the team had already spent previous updates repairing and improving the underlying game. One of the last major versions before the engine transition expanded random invasion and random advance and secure support across almost every map, adjusted stamina and weapon sway, reworked sounds for
100%. The graphics from a 2017 game of Battlefront 2, and I said, oh, it came out this year, you'd be like, holy shit, these graphics are amazing. Yeah, it came out 8 years ago.
Weapons and vehicles, and introduced broader performance and
9 years ago.
optimization improvements across maps and infantry components. The mod had an enormous amount of material, but performance, uneven weapon behavior, visual readability, and the sheer complexity of maintaining so many maps and factions could sometimes get in the way. The new version gives the developers an opportunity to carry those improvements forward while rebuilding parts of the project around squad.
No, the bad part about all this is now that it took them this long, again, it's a small group of people that did this, and they converted to Unreal Engine 5. Unreal Engine 6 is coming out. So is this going to negate everything they've just did?
Squad's current technology. Squad's move to Unreal Engine 5 created performance problems for some players, and galactic contention is already much larger and visually busier than a typical squad match. And so guys, after looking at everything happening right now, it's fascinating where some of the most exciting Star Wars gaming projects are coming from. A few years ago, everyone was waiting for the next Star Wars game to carry the franchise. Now, some of the projects generating the most exciting...
You know what's crazy? Even way back when Battlefield 1942 was out and people did mods of Star Wars way back when, this is always going to happen. Such a good time back then as well.
Are being built by incredibly passionate communities instead. Galactic contention keeps growing into what feels like the tactical Battlefront 3 so many players wanted, while Star Wars Genesis is turning Starfield into an enormous open-world Star Wars RPG with new planets, factions, stories, missions, and systems that rival official releases in terms of
Wait, what is he saying there? What was happening? What else are they doing?
By incredibly passionate communities instead. Galactic contention keeps growing into what feels like the tactical Battlefront 3 so many players wanted, while Star Wars Genesis is turning Starfield into an enormous...
Oh, right, Starfield Genesis, which is the mod for Starfield. That's crazy as well.
Open world Star Wars RPG with new planets, factions, stories, missions, and systems that rival official releases in terms of ambition. These aren't tiny mods anymore. They're becoming massive projects with years of development behind them, dedicated teams constantly adding new content, and communities that keep making...
Yeah, like Fallout London. That's another game. Didn't they do another one? They did Fallout London, and they also did what? Fallout... It was two completely different companies. Was it a Vegas one?
Bigger every single update. It really says something when fans are willing to spend thousands of hours building the Star Wars experiences they've always wanted because nobody else is making them. That doesn't mean official Star Wars games are dead. Respawn's Jedi series is still fantastic and there are exciting games on the horizon. But right now, mods are carrying an incredible amount of momentum for the franchise. They're experimenting, they're taking risks, they're listening to feedback almost every week, and they're giving players experiences that simply don't exist anywhere else. If Galactic Contention keeps evolving after this Unreal Engine 5 update and Star Wars Genesis continues expanding at the pace it has over the last...
I don't know if it'll get a cease and desist, Travis, because what you're doing here is people are hosting it on their own servers and whatnot, and there's no selling whatsoever. There's no buying or selling. You're just buying Squad, so I bought the game Squad. They're not incorporated with Squad in any way, shape, or form. It's just community members making us stuff, and if you want to join, then you join the servers. So I don't think there'll be a cease and desist. There's been plenty of games out there that have done this, and there's no cease and desist.
Last year, I think we're entering one of the most exciting periods Star Wars gaming has had in a very long time. Like that video right now for more on...
All right. There's another video I want to see real fast, because I watched a little bit of it yesterday. His link's in the description down below. Let me get the video I watched yesterday. Let's see, history. I watched it yesterday. Is this it? Yeah. This is the same game.
Hello everyone, I'm Bull1, and over the last 5 years I have been extremely fortunate to not only play but also watch the development of Galactic Contention in real time. The amount of work that the team has put into this mod over the years is nothing short of incredible, and today I'm very excited to share with you guys all of the new changes that come with version 9.0 in Unreal Engine 5.
I don't see Ray or Finn, bad mod. I don't know. Was it Florida? No, it wasn't Florida. It was something, though, in like a tropic area or something like that. Was it Arizona? I forget where it was.
Besides graphical fidelity and lighting, version 9.0 also brings some major changes to some of our favorite maps.
Look at these maps.
Has seen the largest revamp, with only a few points of interest still being recognizable from Unreal Engine 4. Most maps have had work done to their horizons to improve upon immersion and scale. The iconic desert canyons, added verticality, and immense detail bring Tatooine to life. The center shield arrays of Naboo have seen significant change, as well as the plains surrounding them are now littered with new grass.
Now, see, this game's a mod inside a game that I don't own. Guess what? I'm going to buy this game. I'm going to buy Squad. I'm going to download this, and I'm going to play it.
Grass and foliage to create more cover and concealment for infantry to move more effectively. Kashyyyk.
Unfortunately, my computer probably has struggled, and this is why I'm waiting for to get a newer computer. But this is what I would play.
Though largely unchanged from its UE4 counterpart, looks plenty more immersive with new foliage and grass as well. Moving on to Coruscant, you'll notice higher quality textures, much more map detail, new interiors, and a couple new ways to cross the map that should help improve gameplay. Speaking of improved gameplay, Megiddo was a map that constantly felt one-sided.
Oh man,
to
I
help
haven't played
remedy
that
new
since
bridges,
Battlefront 1.
platforms, and roads have been added along with pillars to block armor sight lines, ideally providing a more balanced and fun experience for both teams. Cavado's crashed acclimator is now replaced with a maroon Venator-class Star Destroyer. The map has been expanded behind the ship, allowing for more troop movements, and the clone main spawn now has multiple routes rather than being stuck behind a large mountain with one way out. New points of interest have also been added, and don't worry, Winter Cavado is still here.
Oh, that's cool.
Felucia's new layout may leave some of you veteran GC players confused. The entire map has been flipped on its Y-axis with a few minor changes made and a couple new Easter eggs. Keep your maps open to help direct your squad leader, as I'm sure he'll argue that he knows where he's going.
There's so many people, Eclipse, that don't understand. Like, Eclipse is saying this is why PC will always be the way. There's so many people that don't know. Obviously, they don't know because they don't know. Just like they don't know they're not watching 4K or not watching 2K or not plugging the right thing into their television set. Right? They don't know that they're not playing a 30 frames per second game over a 60 frame per second game because they just don't know. PC gives you way more freedom, and this is why people fight for it. This is why people talk about PC. But the console guys, right, are always like, no, this is what it is. It's like, no, but there's so much more you can do. Like, look at Starfield on console and look at Starfield on PC. What you could do in Starfield on PC, you're not even playing Bethesda's game anymore. Right? There's so many other games that you can play, and because of PC, okay, because of the modders on PC, there's other games that have come out in the past. Fucking Leagues of Legends and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Because of PC.
Galban sees new foliage and grass as well, but also some new POIs and a few reworked ones. And if you love trees, you'll love Morat Canyon. Beautiful map with new points of interest and routes to objectives as well.
Oh yeah, El Dente. They don't know that.
The developers have some big plans for the
Look at
future
this.
of Renvar. While still a work in progress, new locations have appeared west of ice fields to fill out the frozen valley. Sesset Equator has been one of the mod's most ambitious maps. The expansive objectives are now surrounded.
To say that, and I get that from a standpoint just enough, where you're like, PC's better, but console is just much easier. That's like saying to somebody, well, playing baseball is just easier for me, right? Well, it's easier because I know how to play the game. I didn't know how to play, and it was hard, right? But then I did know how to play. I understand the game more, so then it's easier for me. If I'm a console guy and I don't want to know, I have my blinders on. I'm like, oh yeah, console's easier, right? It's just more convenient. But PC is pretty easy when you start to learn about it and understand what you're playing on, right? Everyone's like, oh no, I gotta update these drivers and then these different things. It's like, I get it. You don't have to update if you don't want to for certain things. Most people go backwards because when they do a patch, it's usually broke. right? So I totally understand where that's coming from, where people are like, it's just easier. But it's easy once you understand it. But people don't want to take the time to understand anything. They just want to be fed.
By thick new flora, new close quarters POIs have been added, and optimization passes continue to be made to help performance. Those are most of the map changes known to me at this time. The rest of the roster remains intact and looking gorgeous in Unreal Engine 5. Now that we've covered maps, let's take a look at vehicles. The new line of TX-130 Sabre tanks have just rolled off Rothana's factory lines and are ready to support the Grand Army of the Republic. It should be noted that all vehicles showcased are work in progress and subject to balancing and updating. Amongst the obvious exterior changes, the TX now features a fully modeled interior cabin. This allows the Top Gunner to retreat inside the safety of the tank when things get a little too hot.
That's cool.
The descending animation is perfect, however climbing back up is currently a placeholder.
Here's the thing though, Jesse, right? You're saying Armor Reforged mods on console always broke and laggy. When it comes to mods and stuff like that, I know obviously people download and play them. You got to remember that the people who are doing mods, they're not getting paid to do any of this stuff. Right? There's not a big ass team behind certain things. And I know you're saying because of console. I'm just saying mods in general. It's much more we're much more forgiving. Like if this game was buggy, obviously when you play it, you're like, oh, it's not a AAA company. It's 12 guys, 20 guys, whatever it is that make the game. It's like these are not guys that you're paying $70 to play the game. This is a thing that they put into a game that you already own. So you're much more forgiving for stuff like that.
Drivers now view the map.
It's the AAA games that you pay for that are broke, buggy, and unfinished.
Through the viewport, able to free look amongst the cabin.
That's cool.
Gunners inside the standard variant still hold their same armament. This is the version that will be seen during most live play matches, while the new ones will probably be saved for glops and other special events while they're being worked on. Meanwhile, the Blast APC with its shorter guns is only equipped for infantry. The remote weapon station model is exactly as it sounds, hosting only the driver and a remote control top turret, not currently modeled. Moving on, we now have lore-accurate UTAT variants, featuring their iconic trident of forward-facing cannons. Red mobile spawn is intended to balance the asymmetric gameplay of them not being able to be revived like the clones can. Though the command UTAT is slotted to be a clone mobile spawn, it is not currently in this playtest build. Again, just a reminder that some of these functions are work in progress and will change with data collected from live play. The next vehicle I'm about to show you guys likely isn't ready to be in rotation for live play in the next update. However, it is currently working. The Hailfire
That's a great
droid.
game, Ray.
Trust me, I wish this was confirmed to be ready. I would have loved to have had it in the trailer. And by the way, thank you guys so much for the support. Seeing the hype for this mod makes me unbelievably happy. One of the cool things about the Hailfire is that it's one of the few vehicles where the driver has his own turret.
That's cool.
But currently lacks a reticle. Seat 2 controls the missile pods, and these rocket volleys are guided.
All right, let's fast forward here to some gunplay.
I'm down the line. Speaking of factions, we finally see the introduction of Umbarans, now with their own set of weapons.
Oh, wow.
They are of course going to be found on Umbara, but will actually also show up as a votable faction on other layers. Each weapon has been given its own sound, courtesy of Schneckfrosch, the lead audio designer, who we'll speak to in a later portion of the video. Umbarans are currently using old reload animations, and some even utilize old scopes, but this is just for the time being until they can get their own. Umbarans will also have access to droid vehicles, as it will certainly be some time before they get their own. For example, Commander Cody has a DC-15A with low recoil as well as a full auto pistol. The next topic is the addition of unique sub-factions with the intent of changing how a map is played. For example, Bestman is planned to have a layer where not only more fighters spawn, but both teams have jetpacks with every roll.
That's cool.
Now, this might not be here in time for July 31st, but it was worth mentioning as it's something I've been wanting to see for quite some time.
Well, they just,
and I don't think I'm alone.
brought this video out, Altern. Don't worry, it'll go on sale again.
Game mode is being worked on by developer Denant called Contention. This mode is very similar to Squad's other modes, however...
All right, what I'm going to do is, because this is a long video, I'm going to put this guy's link in the description down below. And you guys, if you're more interested, you can go check it out. Let me put his video in the description down below. This is Bulwan. Is it Bulwan and Galactic? Bulwan and Galactic. No, I gotta find. Oh, it's his, and I got it. All right, Bulwan, and he's tagged them as well. So you can go to Bulwan channel. Links in the description down below. Check out the whole video. It's 38 minutes long, and he does a whole interview with the developers and stuff in there as well. Next thing we're gonna watch is Star Wars Zero Company. I'm interested in this game, right? I'm interested in this game, but I'm also not interested in this game because it's EA. And EA, well, they always ruin something, right? Even though one of my favorite games is Star Wars Battlefront 2, it's made by EA. And I love Battlefield series, and it's EA. There's little things that I'm like, this looks good, but I want to know more about it, right? So this is Star Wars Zero Company. Tons of new info. This comes from Star Wars HQ. Link in the description down below for him as well.
So we have tons of new details straight from the team over at BitReactor about Star Wars Zero Company, which of course is the brand new Star Wars game coming up this year.
Ray said earlier, right? XCOM. I love XCOM. I love games like this when I was younger. Again, Star Wars IP, love Star Wars. I don't like Disney Star Wars, but I do love Star Wars. And you know, I'll play this if it's good. I got to know more. Hopefully he tells me more.
On August 27th, so it's right around the corner, and the team over at BitReactor took the time to answer all of the community's questions in a massive epic Q&A session. I'm going to go over all of their answers in this video. And we're going to be hearing from Greg Furch, the CEO and creative director, Cadence Funk, the lead producer, and James Brawley, the lead designer. So we're going to jump right into it. Let's do this. So the first question comes from Whitefeather87, who asked, can you have a whole team of clones? And Greg responded, said operators in Zero Company have access to clone armor cosmetics with the ability to customize their armor from the start. Bonus, clone trooper helmets even provide a voice modulation to characters. You'll be able to unlock clone troopers after a certain point in the story, allowing you to have a full team of clone troopers. How awesome is that?
I don't know who you speak of, Mo. Who is this Kennedy? Who is this Kennedy you speak of?
And I was also able to get one of my questions answered. I asked, how many hours will the game be? And Cadence responded, said, depending on your difficulty level and experience with the strategy genre, we estimate about 30 to 40 hours for the average player to complete the main story campaign. And in my opinion, I think 30 to 40 hours is actually a very lengthy campaign. I was honestly expecting something more like 15 to 20 hours. So I'm definitely very excited to hear that this game is going to be a 30 to 40 hour campaign. Now, the next question comes from Hopinut, who asks, for clone customization, will there be unique types of armor / helmets like ARF, Airborne, Commando, etc.? And what options will there be?
Why are so many people interested in like fucking cosmetics? I want to know about the gameplay.
Or their armor patterns. And James responded and said, our team here at BitReactor felt it was important to give players the option to have fun with character customization. We think you'll be very happy with the selection of paint jobs and patterns we have for helmets, armor, and more for Clone Trooper customization. And I don't know about you guys, but this definitely gets me very excited for the Clone Trooper aspect of the game. And next question comes from Sammy Boy, who asks, it seems from everything we've been told that the Jedi Padawan is tied to Tel Rey herself, but what happens if Tel Rey dies? Are we able to create/recruit more Jedi Padawans to Zero Company, or is she simply the only character that fits into that Jedi class? And James responded and said, Tel Rey is the only Jedi Padawan class operator in Star Wars Zero Company. Be careful that nothing unfortunate happens to her. Holy cow. So you definitely have to be very careful with the Jedi character in this game. And I imagine if you are going to lose this character, it's going to be very painful, of course, as with all of the characters, because yes, they can permanently die in this game. Now, the next question comes from Krager Husky, who asks, is Hawks only required to be deployed?
I have a question, and maybe they answer this later in the thing. If one of my main character dies in my game, does that mean I don't get to do anything else? And I'm okay with this. Does that change your playthrough, right? Because if you have 5 main characters and one of them dies or 2 of them die, does that mean the game is shorter because you don't have those extra missions and stuff to do? Or is it interchangeable type of thing? You know what I mean? Like, it no longer is that character, but does it change? Like, does my crew now, if the Jedi died, right, does it change how they work? Are they depressed? Are they you know, something in the story changed completely because they're dead? Or are they just like, yeah, she died, and they move on, and they just kind of like forget about her? You know what I mean? That'd be interesting. In Mass Effect, it took a big chunk on me when I lost majority of my crew by the end of Mass Effect 2 because of the choice I made, right? So I wonder if it's more like that, or if it's just more of a cosmetic type of thing. You know what I mean?
For story-related missions, or can we not deploy him at all if we wanted? And James said, Hawks is required on all story missions, but for skirmish missions, players are welcome to bring any combination of operators they want. So it sounds like the story missions are, of course, going to be more focused on the main character, Hawks, which of course makes sense, right? But if you want to do something totally different outside of Hawks' story, it sounds like you can do that with the skirmish type missions, which is really cool. All right, and this next question comes from Sazav Automoha. Hopefully I said that right. They asked, if Hawks dies/suffers 3 injuries, is he out as a unit? Does the mission restart, or does it mean game over? And James responded and said, Hawks is your main playable character, so it's an automatic mission failure if Hawks dies in combat, and you'll need to restart the mission. So Hawks is treated differently than the other characters, so keep in mind that most of the other characters can permanently die,
but if your main character
still
dies,
go on and do other missions. But with Hawks, if he dies, it ends the entire mission and you have to restart, so keep that in mind. Now, this question...
I don't know if I like that, just because from a standpoint that you're going to play different with him because you're going to protect him. So you're going to like tippy-toe, because you don't want to fail the mission. Where everybody else, if they die, you're like, oh, they're dead, and I'm just going to replace them.
It comes from Uncool Ira, who asks, how early into the game can we make a full astromech team? Very good question indeed. And James said astromechs are unlocked pretty early in the game, and you can build a full team as soon as you can recruit astromechs. Hawks is required for story missions, but additional slots can be filled with astromechs at all times. We want to see all the astromech teams, so this sounds awesome as well. So, you know, just like with the clone troopers, you can make an astromech team as well.
Well, that's the point. I think it should be just based on the team, though, right? I mean, I get it. You're supposed to protect the king, but if that's the only main character, right? Again, like I was saying before, if your other main characters die, like obviously you don't want anyone to die, right? That's the whole point. You don't want anyone characters to die because you want to be attached to these characters. So if you do lose one, it should feel like a State of Decay moment where you're like, oh my God, I lost my character type of thing, right? And I'm okay with that. But if your main character dies, if you only have one main character, if he dies, then it's just like, oh, you got to reset. So you're like, oh, I don't want to reset again. So you're going to back him off completely, and you're going to use him very, very sporadically.
Well, so it's going to be really, really cool to see
Sarge
all
says it's
of
fine, make him the sniper. Unless he's not the sniper.
these different combinations that people go with their squad, you know? So let me know.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like in XCOM, everyone's important and everyone is also dispendable. Or disposable, I should say.
Will you be rocking an entire Astromech team or clone trooper team? Let me know in the comments down.
Right, Jesse. Right? So you're saying that's a bad idea for this game? If your whole squad dies, you will start the mission? Right. But if that one guy dies, doesn't matter if you have the other 4 or 5 guys in your team, it's over.
Down below. The next question comes from Echo 2500, who asked, what will the playstyle of the 3 enemy factions be like? Any specific strategies we should consider employing against each? And Greg said, our 3 announced enemy factions all have distinct aspects that will challenge players to change up their tactical approach. For the Separatist Alliance and their droids, players might want to have ion weapons to handily dispose of them. Infinite coil units will have various abilities, and players will need to consider who to kill and in what order.
Sure.
And outlaws can overwhelm you with numbers. So this is definitely some very good info to know, especially before going into missions. And I'm sure it's going to require you to rethink your strategy and the squad mates you take out on those particular missions. All right, so let's jump over to the next question, which comes from Flackles, who asked, can you tell us a little bit more about the variety in weapons and gear we can outfit our operators with? And James said players will have a lot to discover once Star Wars Zero Company is released, but there is a deep well of equipable weapons and utilities for you to experiment with and customize as you progress in the game. We have 4 weapon classes alongside 4 to 6 cosmetic models you can select from within each.
Here's the thing I kind of wish they did. If your main character gets knocked, not dead, do you know what I mean? You don't fail the mission. He gets knocked, meaning he's incapacitated for the rest of the match. But if you continue with that the rest of the crew and beat the match without him, then he just has to get healed. Do you know what I mean? In the back to tank type of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's weird that if that guy dies, the mission's over when you still have a full team. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, if he gets knocked, he's knocked, but it shouldn't be over, because what about if I can go back and pick him up? Right? As soon as he's down, that's it. Mission's over. Mission's failed, at least what they're saying. Right? So there should be a way to revive him. There should be a way that he's knocked and you're like, you finished the mission, you complete it, but you saved him, and because he's the main guy. So technically he can't die because he's the main character, but he should not be the definitive factor of you fail that mission because he's down.
Class. So it sounds like, just like with character customization and options, the weapons are going to be just as in-depth, and I cannot wait to see more about this particular aspect of the game as well. Now, this question comes from Jax, who asked, will there be Phase 1 ARC Trooper armor? Very good question indeed. And Cadence...
It's permadeath for everybody all turn, except for the main character, where the main character dies and then it's just mission over. Do you know what I mean? Like, your mission's failed because your main character. So the guy with the beard or whatever, if he gets killed, that's it. It doesn't matter. You still have 4 or 5 guys on your team for that mission. The game's over. You got to start again for that mission.
responded and said the ARC Trooper armor set is only part of the Grand Army of the Republic cosmetic pack.
Which is also kind of dumb, right? Because think about this for a second. Now that my brain's thinking, okay? Let's say I'm doing a mission. One of my awesome characters, I have the Mandalorian on my team, right? Not the Mandalorian, but a Mandalorian, right? He's my strongest guy. He dies. I'm like, oh, fuck, right? Now, obviously, you could save scum or whatnot. But if that happens and I complete the mission, he's dead. He's gone. I don't lose him. But if I then sacrifice the main character, it fails the mission. If it fails the mission, it resets the mission. And if it resets the mission, then I can go back and play again. There's no substance there, because then your Mando guy that you died just gets revived again because the main character died, meaning you have to do the mission over again. Do you see what I'm saying?
For the deluxe edition, but we'll have a ton of other cosmetic options available out of the gate for players. And I don't know about you guys, but I am definitely getting the deluxe edition for sure. Now, speaking of editions, this was asked about the collector's edition. This was from Just Marino, who said, can we have some news about the collector's edition, please? And the BitReactor team responded.
Yeah, I don't know if it's one and done, Roic, or if it's multiple times you can get revived. I'm not sure.
We don't have anything to announce today, but keep an eye out this coming weekend for more news. Ooh, that sounds very, very cool indeed. Now, I did get the chance to ask about weather effects in the game. I asked, will there be any weather effects in the game that affect the squad's visibility or efficiency? And James responded saying the weather effects during combat are purely cosmetic and will not affect the squad's visibility or efficiency.
Oh.
Now, the good news is that...
So wait a minute. The weather effects in the game effects are just cosmetic. It doesn't affect visibility or efficiency? That's kind of lame.
The squad's visibility or efficiency. Now, the good news is that there are weather effects to begin with, so each map, each location is going to feel very different from one another and add that variety to the game. And there's also different lighting conditions as well, which is a very good thing. Now, this question comes from Hopinit.
Yeah, it's like, why put the weather in it all if it doesn't affect anything? We've talked about this in the past, right? Right? Why put a store in a game if you can't do anything in the store? Why put a person in the town if you can't interact with the person in the town, right? Like, why put these things in the game if it doesn't do anything for the game?
Once again, who asked, will there be any...
I'm pretty sure. Am I wrong? It's been a really long time since I played XCOM. But I'm pretty sure that XCOM had, like, it would hinder your visibility for long range, so you had to move in to shoot them, if I'm not mistaken.
Enemy vehicles or bigger droids like dwarf spiders that you will have to fight during missions. And James said, we can't share specifics just yet, but there will be missions that involve some heavy machinery. I wonder what heavy machinery he's talking about there. And this question comes from Sasav Adamaha, who says, is the squad limit capped at 4 operators?
Wasn't there... What game am I thinking of then? There was a game that does... I don't know if it was weather effects or more of the thing, but you couldn't see certain things until they got closer. What was that? Clip says Field of View, Fog of War. Yeah. Wasn't it... What game was that? Not weather effects. Was it Marvel? Like, you wouldn't be able to see them until you got closer. And then when you got closer, obviously, you could be fucked because the guy could be... All of them? No. But there was a... I can't. I'm losing the words in my brain. Where... It might not have been weather effects, but it was just effects in the game, right? If it was like, if you threw a smoke grenade, you couldn't see stuff, right? Obviously, it didn't have weather effects. If they didn't have weather effects in XCOM, fine. No weather effects, but there was no weather effects. If you're putting weather effects in here, what's the point if they do nothing? Is my point. Cadence responded and said, the standard squad limit can go up to 4 operators
but players will have the opportunity to control additional characters in certain missions. Now, of course, from the trailer, we did see Anakin Skywalker teased, so I want...
When does this take place? Does this take place during the Clone Wars? Obviously, there's Clone War, like there's clones. Does this take during the Clone Wars? Now Anakin's in here. Does this canonically take place before, episode 3? Is this between episode 2 and 3? Is this between episode 1 and 2?
I wonder if he's one of those characters that BitReactor could be referring to. Now, Sushi Dragon asked, how are actions limited on strategic lair / the map? I believe it was said that time only advances when you take a combat mission. Does that mean you are free to do everything on the map? James gave details on this and said you will have a certain amount of intel you can spend to conduct operations at the galaxy map between each mission. These can expire, but you will have story-critical missions that will become obligatory after a certain point in the game. Each operation costs various amounts of intel, so we encourage you to choose wisely depending on your playstyle and gameplay interests. All right, so now let's talk about operator limits. So Low Pulley Rober asked, what is the operator limit at HQ? Does it increase as the game progresses, or does it remain static through the game? And James clarified this and said the current operator limit is 20, but players will start with a maximum of 7 operators. This limit can be increased through different upgrades at the den, story progression, and as new authored operators join the squad. How cool is that? So I'm definitely going to have a full list of operators, of course, for all of the different mission types, because as you know, there's going to be different factions you're facing, and each one of these missions is probably going to require a different setup for your squad to, maximize the potential to, win that mission. Now, let's talk about cutscenes, because Hapina asked, will the option to customize Hawks and him showing up in cutscenes in the trailers? No. It seems like the cutscenes will be real-time rendered instead of pre-rendered. Okay. Are most of the cutscenes in this game going to be real-time rendered? And Cadence answered this and said most of the cutscenes... Yeah, because
I know it seems so minute, but if you're going to have cosmetics that someone asked before, they're like, yeah, there's plenty of cosmetics. And all of a sudden, you're wearing one outfit, and then all of a sudden the cutscene comes, you're wearing a completely different outfit. That completely pulls you out of the immersion,
In-game are rendered in real time, but there are a few minor exceptions where we use pre-rendered cinematics. It was important to our team for players to see the characters they've customized reflected throughout their gameplay experience. So yeah, that's definitely going to be awesome to see our own custom created characters in the...
So wait a minute, I'm gonna back up here. This character here is the main character. You get to customize your character. Is that what it is? Because it's the same outfit, but they just changed the character's face.
Gameplay experience. So yeah, that's definitely going to be awesome to see.
Yeah. So you're customizing your main character.
Our own custom created characters in the cinematics. I could not wait to experience this. And then finally, we have a question about modding support from Arbitrator, who asks, will the game have modding support? If so, to what extent would it be allowed? And Cadence said, we have a lot of respect for the modding community, but there is no official mod support planned for Star Wars Zero Company. And guys, that's going to do it for the video. If you enjoyed it, hit that like button. We have tons of stuff to look.
I still need to see more. I mean, he answered questions. They didn't really show much. Link in the description down below for Star Wars HQ. I'm still not sold. Still not sold. The only thing that affects me now is the permadeath thing, right? I like the permadeath. I don't like the main character. If he gets knocked, right, is a timer pop up, and it's like you have this much time and turns to pick him up, and then it's over. Because if you have a full squad, but it's that one person that if he goes down, that's it. You would protect him like he is the king and put him back there, even though he's your character. He's the main character. Okay, so you could be a pussy and just put him in the back and be like, well, we don't want to. So I hope that that's not the way it is. And if he gets knocked down, you get a couple of chances to get him up. I should be able to complete that mission with the rest of the crew instead of just ending the mission going, oh, you failed. I mean, it's kind of weird, right? Yeah, there's no mod support, which is, maybe down the road there might be, but yeah, I think this game, you asked me yesterday, Travis, I think this game sells 2 million copies across everything. Sent me a DM. All right, let me see. If you're good, you won't have this problem. Yeah, but it doesn't matter if you're good or not. It still holds that one person is the main, and everybody else doesn't matter. This is 15 minutes long. Gameplay 2, gameplay 3. All right. Is he going to answer my questions?
Guys, Dagix here. Star Wars Zero Company is not far from release, and there are actually a lot of hidden details that we haven't gone through. So let's break through everything we've learned. Here we see a special action, Sabotage. It's unclear exactly which class this belongs to, but if I had to guess, I'd say Scoundrel and possibly Sharpshooter. We see Kara Nova using it, and interestingly, it costs no action points whatsoever. Instead, you can only use it.
Why is it so fucking pixelated?
3 times per combat.
His camera's in fucking 1080, 1440p, but the gameplay is fucking
bonus, though,
720,
each use
420.
grants 2 advantage for you to spend,
or 480.
meaning you can generate 6 free advantage over the course of a mission. Now, I'm getting bogged down in the juicy details before I even explain what the ability does. Sabotage lets you target
It's so fucking pixelated.
an explosive object anywhere out on the battlefield. From what we're seeing here, it doesn't appear to have a range limit. You can literally begin a fight by detonating something on the opposite side of the map.
You must be watching Switch 2 gameplay. I don't understand. He is perfectly crystal clear, but this gameplay that he's showing is absolute shit looking.
Before your squad has even moved, which leans into the fantasy of setting a trap for your enemies before the fight begins, which is actually a really interesting design choice because environmental hazards don't seem to be just a random opportunity anymore. They look like they're becoming part of your build. If Sabotage really does belong to the Scoundrel, it reinforces what BitReactor has been saying about each specialization having its own unique identity. Rather than simply dealing damage yourself, you're manipulating the battlefield before the fight has properly begun, or even during it if you really want to play that way. 6 advantage is also surprisingly a quite a big deal. Advantage already looks like one of the most valuable resources in the game. We've seen it spent on powerful abilities, squad synergies, and other advanced actions. So even if these explosions don't end up dealing much damage, simply generating advantage can be spent on Hawk's ability to top everyone's AP up, or Heavy's ability to whip out a rocket launcher to devastate the field, all of which can be done at the start of the match because you can detonate all these things straight away. Let me explain. Since we can use Sabotage 3 times, at least 3 times that we know of, and it doesn't spend action points unless there's some hidden cooldown we haven't seen yet or a severely limited amount of explosives, you could theoretically open a mission by detonating 3 environmental hazards before spending a single action point. That could soften up enemy positions, destroy cover, reposition enemies, or simply give you...
I'm fine with the narrative driven. Here, Ray says 30. We have XCOM that goes full gameplay and 3 named heroes in the base. And we have Sons of Midnight where everyone is a named hero and you have to sacrifice the narrative of the game. No, I get that. All I'm saying is if my guy, this one guy, right? This is the guy. He goes down and I fail. That's fucking retarded considering I have a full squad. Okay? All I'm saying is, and again, I don't know this, but 100% it should be where I get to revive. Maybe it is. We just haven't seen it. Maybe he says something. Maybe you can revive the guy. Okay, but for that one guy to end the entire mission because he's knocked down, right? And he's just automatically dead. And it's like, oh, you got to start over. Mission failed. It's like, all right, well, can we do something instead of just it's failed? Because if that's the case, then you're going to take that guy and you're going to hold him back. because he's the main thing. It doesn't matter about everybody else. Everybody else is cannon fodder inside the narrative. Your guy is the main person.
Your squad a huge pool of advantage before your first proper engagement. You could set them all out and use all of your AP and then recharge it all with Hawks' ability. You may have noticed that Sabotage is listed as rank 3. That means that Chornobyl has upgraded the ability 3 times, and it also suggests that each rank increases the number of objects you can detonate during combat. If true, then without investing any points into the skill, it's not completely worthless, but it would be significantly weaker. It looks like BitReactor really wants the players investing into abilities rather than just handing you the strongest versions immediately. Clicking on the ability also snaps your camera directly to the nearest explosive object and then cycles through the next available target. Now, both of these objects have an explosive icon with a 0 beside them. That might mean they deal 0 damage and instead focus entirely on knockback. These almost look like steam vents more than explosive barrels, so it makes sense. Unfortunately, we don't actually get to see what happens to the clankers standing besides the explosion, so we can't confirm exactly how this will function. What I do notice though is another droider car. Shielded destroyer droids were terrifying throughout the Clone Wars. Even Jedi generally preferred finding ways around their shields rather than simply charging straight at them, and it also showed us the only instance of force speed. I don't know why they did that once in the movie, but if Zero Company sticks to this overall fantasy, I wouldn't be surprised if priority targets that force you to rethink your approach include these droider cars. I wouldn't be surprised if these become your priority targets that force you to rethink your approach.
The graphics are great.
Maybe surprising them lets you take them out before they raise their shields. Maybe ion weaponry becomes essential, which we'll see soon. Maybe they're designed to absorb your attention while other droids push forward. Whatever the answer is, I suspect these won't be enemies you simply point and shoot at. Also note that Chornobyl is not an authored character, meaning she won't be introduced to you via story means like Tali Zaraya Vas Jedi here.
I've been tracking Fathom for months. She's at the center of it all.
Instead, the player has built, named and recruited this character. She can banter, bond and chat with you like the other authored characters. In the next clip, we're on an entirely different planet, but once again, we're controlling Chornobyl. This time she's hovering over a concussion grenade Mark II. It costs 1 action point to throw and deals 10 splash damage. Just like the environmental vent earlier, this grenade also knocks back enemies. She only has 1 grenade equipped, so naturally she can only throw 1 during the entire combat encounter.
Who the fuck brings 1 grenade with them?
EA has already confirmed that different characters can eventually carry different numbers of consumables, so some agents will likely specialize in utility-focused builds, while others focus almost entirely on weapons.
We're going on a mission, guys. We got to take over people. I got my 1 grenade. 1? You're bringing 1 grenade? All right.
And others on abilities. One thing I really appreciate is that before throwing the grenade, the game clearly shows us the damage each enemy will receive. Not only that, it also displays the exact direction each enemy will be knocked. That's such a nice quality of life feature because anyone who's played XCOM...
That'd be interesting, Sarge. Like you find there's a crate that has explosive and you can use it to blow up as a thing, or you strategically get to that point where you can grab more grenades.
Knows the frustration of hoping a grenade will take out the right amount of enemies and bring down the right amount of buildings, only for it to not do that. Here the game shows you what's going to happen before you commit entirely. A good player is obviously going to start using this for far more than just damage, knocking enemies off ledges, throwing them into...
It's like, I'm going to bring 1 grenade and I'm going to use it first thing.
environmental hazards,
what could go wrong? Who needs
or even
reinforcements?
knocking them out of cover so another squad mate can finish the job, especially if they're in Overwatch, which I've gone through in another video. Here we see one of the basic battle droids being killed outright, while the others take significant damage before being pushed down into the lower ground. Interestingly, despite the fall, be it a short one, they don't seem to receive any additional fall damage. This clip also reinforces something else we've been seeing consistently. Coil brutes look substantially tankier and more dangerous than standard battle droids. Rather than every enemy simply having a bigger health pool, Bit Reactor appears to be creating distinct battlefield roles for enemies. Some enemies look disposable while others clearly demand your full attention. Now we finally get a proper look inside the armory, and honestly, this is where I think Zero Company starts to separate itself from other tactics games. There might not be hundreds of weapon types, but each weapon can be modified to better suit your individual agent. This particular repeater, the DC-15LE, currently has a barrel mod installed.
Not even close.
The first
baby.
option is
There's
a
no way this is gonna
basic
be game of the year.
amplifier, increasing blaster damage by +1 when firing at close range. Hovering over close range will almost certainly explain the exact distance when we're playing ourselves. Essentially though, you're tuning this repeater to be more of a shotgun style weapon, perfect for aggressive frontline builds. Lars Arik, however, decides he'd rather use a basic single coil condenser, increasing
It's not like there's permadeath. Why would you bring more than one? It's because they're heavy, like you said.
critical damage by +2. Wait, no, he's changed his mind. Now he's looking at the basic rapid cycler, giving a 10% chance to restore an action point after attacking. Restoring an action point is incredibly powerful. Action points are everything in tactics games like this. However, 10% doesn't sound particularly high. Remember, you'll be attacking dozens and dozens of times over the course of a campaign, so it might pay off, once a mission. But once you get this up in rarity, I'm thinking 20%, 30% chances are extremely valuable. But right now, as a basic rarity, I don't think I'd pick this one up. And it seems Lars clearly doesn't trust the odds as well. He switches back and locks in the single coil condenser. What I really like here is that none of these upgrades simply increase damage. Instead, they encourage different playstyles to get that bonus damage.
And your playstyle is take your main character, hide him, make everyone else go and do the stuff.
Do you specialize in close range combat? Do you specialize in chasing those critical hits? Do you gamble on action point recovery? Or do you create an entirely different build altogether? Some classes might really need those action points to, say, help heal or do more actions like throw grenades or stim packs. Some might really want to get up close. How you build your character is really going to matter as well. All of this together is exactly what good RPG systems should be doing, and these are just basic rarity mods. No doubt the legendary mods will encourage you to build around them completely. Moving down to cell mods, we find something even more interesting, a superior grade 2 ion modulator. It increases blaster damage against droids by +2, while increasing damage against
But we don't even know when you get these things inside the game.
ray shields by a massive +60. Yes, ray shields are officially in the game. Immediately that makes iron weaponry seem much more important than it first appeared. Could this be a way to take out your shielded droids? If droidicar, shielded installations or other Clone Wars technology becomes common later in the campaign, bringing one dedicated anti-droid specialist suddenly becomes a really smart squad building decision rather than simply taking who deals the most damage. Here's also a basic ion modulator. Naturally, it gives a smaller bonus, +1 against droids and +40 against ray shields, so you can see increasing the rarity of this same mod type drastically increases its effectiveness. Instead of bringing the exact same loadout into every mission, Bit Reactor seems to be encouraging preparation. If you know you're about to fight a lot of droids, you might swap to ion. If you're expecting something else, you might prepare differently. That makes the armory feel like an actual strategic decision instead of just another menu. Finally, the scope mods. Right now, we only have access to one, a basic long-range scope. It reduces chance to hit penalties from a distance by 10%. Does that mean you have 10% increased chance to hit?
That's what I'm giving my main character. He's going to be a sniper in the back.
Or does that mean it's just 10% less penalty? Because that latter is considerably worse. Now, this is not the ideal pairing with the close range amplifier barrel, but for players who enjoy sitting back and picking enemies apart from across the battlefield, this feels like it might become a cool upgrade, especially the higher rarity versions. Sharpshooters might truly become the long-range specialists we've been expecting, and taking a 90% chance to hit to a 100% will really give you the confidence to take risks However, if that 10% chance to miss only gets reduced by 10%, that means you go from a 90% chance to hit to a 91% chance to hit, and that suddenly doesn't seem as valuable. Finally, we move into combat with Hawks, our player-created commander, who can be customized as either a male or female, and between a large range of aliens, including human, of course. Since he's equipped with a repeating blaster, he gains access to the standard repeating
Does he answer the question that we have here? Is this why Travis told us to watch this?
blaster attack. This attack consumes all remaining action points before it fires. The more action points you invest, the more rapid fire damage you deal. I actually prefer this mechanic to the classic XCOM where it just ends your turn when you attack. Every single turn you're making an interesting decision now. Do you move into better cover, reposition for a better angle, sprint and fire, or do you stay exactly where you are and unload everything into the target for maximum damage? There isn't really a universally correct answer. It entirely depends on the situation. It also depends on what mods you have equipped, how your team is customized, and what's happening around you. That's exactly what tactical games should be asking players. If we have that basic amplifier equipped, it might actually do more damage to move than attack, rather than to stay still and attack for that bonus rapid fire damage. This is one thing that immediately caught my attention though. Look at the hit chances. Several enemies are sitting at 100% accuracy. Anyone who spent hundreds of hours in XCOM knows how unusual that is. Missing a 95% shot has practically become a meme. Now, obviously, I don't have enough information to say
Yeah, but he does miss the shot.
if Zero Company is abandoning that style of randomness, but from everything we've seen so far, BitReactor seems to be
He literally just missed 2 shots.
placing more emphasis on positioning, squad synergy, abilities, and preparation, rather than simply praying your percentage roll succeeds, or at the very least, they're giving more ways to reduce the variance. We'll need to play for ourselves before making that call, and hopefully I get to do so soon. But it's definitely something I've noticed. Against this coil striker, Hawks is expected to deal 12 damage with complete certainty, and if he crits, he'll obviously get more. Like several other attacks we've already seen, this attack also guarantees damage.
He's got 100% to hit one of his shots of the 4 shots that he hit. So he's got a 50% chance. He's got a 100% chance he's going to shoot and hit him out of the... Does he shoot 4 shots?
Like several other attacks we've already seen, this attack also guarantees damage against the enemy's cover. That's another subtle mechanic I really like. Even if you're not killing enemies, even if you're missing, you can still progress the fight. If you open your turn by destroying cover incidentally, the rest of your squad has cleaner shots on that enemy. Even if you do 0 damage, your follow-up can be devastating. It is Zero Company after all. Little mechanics like this and the fact that your team levels up by working together encourages teamwork rather than expecting one overpowered character to carry the entire mission. Finally, I absolutely love this little animation.
He fired 6 shots, I think.
To carry the entire mission. Finally, I absolutely
1, 2,
love
3,
this
4,
little
5.
animation.
5 shots.
When
3 shots hit.
Hawks opens fire, nearby enemies physically react. The droid besides the target recoils, throws its arm up, and instinctively shields itself, which is very human. It's a tiny detail, but the touches like that make firefights feel more alive. So while these clips might only be 20 or 30 seconds each, they're quietly confirming a surprising amount about how Zero Company actually plays. We've learned about environmental interactions, advantage generation, consumables, knockback, weapon modification, ion weaponry, ratios, cover destruction, and even the overall philosophy behind squad building. The more footage BitReactor releases, the more convinced I am that this isn't simply a Star Wars XCOM. It's clearly inspired by XCOM, absolutely, but it's layering RPG progression, weapon customization, squad composition, and Star Wars authenticity on top of that formula in ways I'm really excited to get my hands on. Not to mention the promise of deep characterization and narrative. So hopefully they keep dropping these little gameplay nuggets.
Still need to see more. Not because of the gameplay. I need to see more information about what the game is. I'll probably just wait for it to come out. Actually see some people play it firsthand. Ask questions for the actual streamers that are playing it before I make a purchase there. Let me put Dantic's video down below as well. If you guys want to go watch his stuff as well. All right. Let's see. There's a game on GPU called Rebel Star, and it had also this mechanic. You had an assault rifle, but not all the shots will hit. 0% sold on this. I don't think it's going to do well. You literally just said this could be game of the year. Yeah. Did you just say it could be game of the year? Is that what you said? Elden says it's not me, unfortunately, as much as I would like to be. I'm confused. All right, what else we got going on today? Just Enough asked me a question. Where's it? I did play XCOM. I played XCOM 2. It's been years. When did XCOM come out? $2012, is that when it came out? Jesus. Yeah, I think I had it for Xbox 360, if I'm not mistaken. I like playing Syndicate back in the day as well. Is that what it was? It's called Syndicate? I think it was called Syndicate. Syndicates? If it was 2004, but you literally say it could be game of the year. You literally said this could be game of the year. All right, there's this small video here, which we have. It's from IGN from 9 months ago, or 8 months ago. Because survival games are big right now. I think we all know it's not game of the year. Jesse Back says, that's my question for you, 30. Will EA/BitReactor put loot boxes in the game? I don't know if they'll put loot boxes, but there was a question asked a couple days ago, and they didn't say they weren't going to put microtransactions. I think they are going to put microtransactions. I think they're going to put microtransactions for cosmetics, because why would anyone care about what you look like? You know what I mean? Like, I understand people want to look cool when they're playing, but if that's one of the main questions you're asking about a Q&A with developers, I mean, obviously, I think they're going to jump on that. Yeah, this is one that came out. It's called Zeland. Okay, this is a gameplay trailer from 8 months ago. I don't know how relevant it is. You guys posted it, so we're gonna watch this and see what the hell this is. Oh, I remember this. I remember seeing this. Was it last Summer Game Fest? Not this year, but the year before.
The wind carries the scent of ash and corpses, like the last breaths of a dying world. The sun still shines.
This looks like a mobile game.
But for how much longer? Hey, Wilmorians of the future.
This almost looks like AI
here.
Created.
I used to be a coder. Now I'm a farmer, canned food enthusiast, part-time surgeon.
Do you see actual gameplay?
And a full-time Zed Slayer. Let me show you a day in the life of the survivor. I started the morning off by bagging a deer. The meat's good eating, the pelts can mend to my coat.
Okay.
And I can even make its bones into a knife.
It's like hightail.
Not one knot. Then I cut a whopper down by the lake. Mike threw in the potatoes and peppers he grew. Who knew you could feast like this in the apocalypse? This world's taught me one thing. Those who waste end up getting wasted. We built watchtowers out of scrap, booby-trapped the road with fuel barrels, and lined the walls with spikes. Good thing, too, because last night we had a swarm come for the North Tower. After one well-placed firebomb, you could smell charred Zed for miles. Some of them tried to climb up, but got hooked on the spikes. You ever hear a Zed scream? I have. A lot. Once we ran out of ammo, it was time to break out the weird stuff.
Yeah, I kind of like the art style of it.
Then the rain started to fall. That really got the Zeds riled up.
I'm just going to say this. If this game's real and it comes out, this game has a better opportunity to be better than State of Decay 3, just budget-wise.
Fortunately, we still had a few shocking tricks up our sleeves. By the way, the Doomsday Fleet just got a whole new look. We put a comfy chair and TV in the box truck and threw some solar panels on top. Now, nothing will keep me from watching my stories. The fire engine got a new grill guard, mostly because we needed somewhere to dry our clothes. As for the taxi,
I agree, Eclipse. I kind of like the art style.
we just hooked up a speaker system. It's great for parties. On our last outing, we only managed to clear out half the big box store. It was like Black Friday with all the Zeds in there. And we were cheap TVs. We still walked away with a huge haul. Most of us, at least.
Now, what
Do you think
happens
the
if your
Zeds still
character if your character dies? Do you become the zombie, or do you have to make another character?
Those old friends. But that's a question for another day. For now, the Doomsday Fleet rides again. I got too many Zeds on me. Help me distract them.
I feel like this is like a day before. I feel like this is a day before scenario again.
After that, I'm firing up the speakers. Rockstar coming through. Make way.
Nice driving. Can I get your autograph? Looky here. We got some fireworks.
Let's put on a show! Hold on, I'm headed your way.
This is like Grounded meets State of Decay meets Hightail is what this is.
Whoa, did you see your head just now? Don't just leave it there. You can use that.
There's too many of them. We need to ride out of here.
Coming through. Guys, we got a really bad customer on our six.
Those fireworks!
Strap in, because I'm about to rock your world.
I was like, what happened? Is that a boob? Is that a boob zombie plague?
29 days since I became a Zed.
You get to play as the zombie? So what do you do as a zombie? If like you're building bases and stuff with your other character, with your base and stuff, what are you doing as a zombie?
Think Zeds don't need to eat, but let me tell ya, the hunger's like nothing you've ever felt before. I thought I was done for. A bunch of humans took my arm off. Really ruined my day. But then I found a new arm, bigger and better. I pressed it into my shoulder hole. A perfect fit. I've become an apex predator. Other Zeds are just meat. Another new arm, new legs, a new head. I'm nearly complete. The animals of the forest, more meat. Feel so powerful, completely unstoppable. But how long can I live like this? I ran into an old friend.
Okay. This is an interesting concept here. Okay, this is an interesting concept. but I have to, from a game mechanic, it's going to be boring as fuck once you're dead as a zombie and all you're doing is walking. You're walking to find, like, and walking and fighting to get bits and pieces, but, like, how long are you going to go for this?
And yesterday, fresh meat. I tried to say hello, but he shot a firework at my face. So rude.
And then what happened?
But the colors were so pretty. It was like a music festival just for me. You look at me and see a monster. But would a monster remember you like canned tomatoes?
Sakes. Sign up now, playtest and wishlist on Steam. Zeverland. I have so many questions. In a concept, it seems very interesting. Okay, let me look this up and see. Zeverland. Zeverland. Okay, what have we seen from this? Zeverland. That's the official trailer. It's a PvE open world survival crafter. Common sense keeps you alive. If it's PvE, that means when you turn into a zombie, you can't do PvP. I got questions. July 15th, Steam Wish 300,000 plus. Pre-alpha tech test number 2 concluded on July 1st. Roadmap. Okay, roadmap for 2026/2027. Over these 7 days, we took every cheer, every compliment, and shared. Time dedicated to make it real changes. Solo mode and self-hosted servers. We decided to shift Zeverland from a pure MMO into a B2P survival craft co-op PvE game. So if I get turned to a zombie, then what happens? Add self-hosted servers that support both solo and multiplayer co-op. Wastelander. After hearing from our community, we've confirmed that Zeverland is doubling down on cooperative PvE. Survive together, build together, explore together, not harm each other. We've strengthened the players' protection rules and going all in on PvE. That's amazing. I thought PvP was I thought PvE wasn't as popular. Your car is your mobile home. More vehicle customization, freely mount living storages, combat modules on the roof, turning vehicles into mobile homes, and wastelanders. Roof rack, cargo frame, solar panels, ramming spikes, and one more thing. We're focusing on refining the following systems. Expand faction storyline, power systems, rain roots hordes, zip lines, farming and fishing, more weapon assembly, NPCs and building polish, and large maps with richer points of interest. This is Grounded meets State of Decay meets Hightail. It's what it is. So we're far off from this. We're still far off from this. So I'm confused though, like literally confused, because if you just told me, you just showed me this trailer, we watched this trailer, right? We're all like, all right, PvE co-op, got it. But then you turn into a zombie, and now you're living your life as a zombie until you get killed again, right? Like, what are you doing? Like, I don't understand. 30 B2P is buy to play. Yeah, buy to play. Like, you buy the game. They switched it from an MMO where you would pay a monthly fee into buy to play, meaning you buy it and then you play it. That's what that means. Two weeks ago,
we spent some.
Here you go. 2 weeks ago, IGN played
hands-on time with the upcoming survival adventure shooter Zeland.
Well, it's not. It's no longer an MMO, Sarge. They changed it from an MMO to buy,
which seems to be equal parts hardcore crafting, collecting, and silly zombie-themed run. In fact, the developers just told us that they will be pivoting away from a free-to-play MMO model.
See, it was a free-to-play MMO to now purchase, buy to play.
And Zeland will instead be a buy-to-play PvE survival crafting game. The team told us it will offer both a solo experience and co-op on private servers, so players can build and survive on their own or together with friends. During Zeland's second playtest, we got a glimpse at the early game quests, the path to starting our own settlement.
I mean, you guys know where I'm at, right? I like survival games. I like games like this where you're building stuff and you're constantly building up. We're playing Power World right now, right? So I'm intrigued by this.
And dipped our toes into the deadly city raids, attempting to find valuable plunder while risking transformative zombie infection. I think I would need more time to know how this stacks up to modern contemporaries in the genre, but I had a good time chopping and shooting my way to relative stability. The most dramatic difference Zeland has from its peers in the subgenre is how it looks. Humans and creatures who are no longer
you're talking about Winrose? Winrose is what you're thinking about?
Human, have exaggerated extremities and a big old noggin. Not quite chibi style, more like a Funko Pop figure with a more proportional body.
Yeah, I mean the art style's fine. It looks fine.
I'll be honest, it had to grow on me. Out of the gate, I was turned off by stalking through the forests and fog zones looking like a dirty brat doll. But there is something evocative about the big, expressive faces. This style is one of the few things that clash with the tone of the main story. It looks silly and almost playful.
It almost looks like Doki V, right? It almost looks like Doki V, that game that the same people that made Crimson Desert.
But nothing about the narrative is at all. But it's not the distraction it was several hours ago when I first logged on. I feel like every NPC I met was living in The Walking Dead.
Well, the reason they did this, remember, it was supposed to be a free-to-play MMO, so cosmetics and stuff like that, so they wanted to make it where your characters look kind of attractive and whatnot.
While every zombie I met, many of which were dressed in funny ways or just generally silly, was straight out of Zombieland. So much of what you can do in this game is slapstick funny too, like shoving a partner in a shopping cart and ramming them into enemies.
They need to change something right now. You got to go off the PAL world. You got to capture some zombies and then put them to work at your camp is what they got to do.
Attaching a zombie head to a stick to make an impromptu weapon. Or just throwing poop at people. Anyone who has played a zombie...
Watch, when you throw that poop, it almost looks like a ball to capture something. Nintendo might sue you.
Survival game should be pretty familiar with what Zeland is expecting from it, which doesn't really break that well-established structure much out of the gate. Just about everything that isn't the ground is searchable, breakable, and collectible, and can be used on its own for an effect, or as part of a recipe to create something greater. Crafting in Zeland is a largely standard affair, but there are a few quirks that I found pretty interesting, like being able to make smaller adornments that can add bonuses to everything you can equip it to. You can also remove them, so if you like the patch you added to a shirt to raise the fence, but found a better shirt, you can move the adornment to the new.
Arcus says, I enjoy enslavement in video games. One of the best features of Conan Exile excerpts from all your dominance. That's right, yeah, they need to add that into this, right? They got to hit the bar of what others have done before them.
Gear. All items deteriorate, but you can repair them without having to use a workbench so long as you have the materials. When it comes to searching crates...
Sarge says, so when was the first time anyone heard about this? 9 months ago was the trailer we just watched. Now, this is a trailer. This is a in-depth preview after 2 weeks ago from IGN. So 9 months ago or 8 months ago, they showed it. And that's the trailer we just watched. And now we're watching the actual gameplay from 2 weeks ago.
Trash cans, cabinets, etc. Zeland resembles 7 Days to Die to me. The thing you're searching in is a good indicator of what you can expect inside it. A refrigerator having food in it, for instance. But there's always a chance of something random or out of place being there as well, like ammo. That usually means just searching every.
If I was this company, I would try to get this out as they just, as you guys said, they did a play test, whatever. It's got a lot of buzz behind it. Right now, with Winrose, Hightail, Pal World, Valheim, Dragon Wilds, Dune Awakening, you release this game now. You release this game now in early access to get as much feedback as possible. 100%.
Because you never know what you might find in a box, even if the box clearly labels what might be in it. But search when you're in a.
You need to get this out before Grand Theft Auto 6 comes out in November as early access. So people play it, try it, and then go, oh, okay. That way, when you continue playing it or continue, what's it called? When you continue building off of it, a year and a half from now, 2 years from now, then people are like, oh yeah, I played that. I remember that. It's just like a Power World thing.
Safe place because rummaging takes time and you don't want to be exposed while sorting through knickknacks. Scavenging for stuff and just about every other action you take.
The Last Oasis, is that the one where you're like in Egypt, Argus, where you're constantly, is it like gods that you're grabbing and become more powerful? That type of thing? Is that what that is?
In this dilapidated wilderness, accumulate.
I think I watched Cold Carnage play it like months back.
Experience points. Like Elder Scrolls games, that means the more you do something, the better you get at it. These experience points increase your level in a particular skill.
Okay. All of this sounds fantastic. I'll be honest with you.
And grant some skill points to spend on them to improve specific aspects of it. There's two different groups of skills.
You know what sells me on this? Co-op. The co-op sells me on this.
Your XP will funnel into life skills and combat skills. Life skills are your crafting and survival features, and combat focuses on your.
That's what I'm thinking of. Eclipse, Soul Mask. That's the one I'm thinking. No, I don't know what the Last Oasis is. Soul Mask is the one I watched Cold Carnage play.
Weapons. The skill trees for all of these individual skills are relatively deep for a game like this, and I felt like the skill points were coming to me at a regular clip. So if I was more focused on simply leveling up, I could have probably gotten pretty far down these trees fairly easily. But I appreciated that I didn't have to grind to feel like I was getting reasonably better. Weapons were in abundance, not only because it seemed like most Zeds had one on them, but also...
Why the fuck would you put a soccer ball on top of that?
Because with some glue and duct tape, just about anything can be combined with some wood or a stick to create...
How's that gonna make it more powerful?
Some sort of improvised implement of death. My Franken weapon was rendered pretty obsolete quickly, though, as I found some guns pretty early on. Something that...
Oh, are you talking about the, are you talking about Sans? The one that, like, Peanut's playing now and stuff like that with the big walkers? Is that what you're talking about? That's an extraction, isn't it?
It usually takes hours to find and craft in other survival games. Just on a zombie randomly waving it around, like, well, a zombie with a gun.
These not more powerful, but more fun. I mean, I don't know if it's more fun hitting a zombie that does no damage with a soccer ball. I mean, I guess.
Weapons were strong, but I never felt like it was so strong that I was never in danger. Zombies of all sizes hit respectively strong, and getting into melee tussles with any of them always felt like a risk. I had 2 or 3 at a time, and things would get really dicey very quickly. Only a handful of occasions was I ever in real danger, but I appreciated Zeland forcing me to respect the lethality of these creatures, even if they had silly cardboard boxes on their heads. I admit a big part of why I didn't see the respawn screen as often as I should have was because of the recruitable NPC companions you can encounter. I found one early, a nurse named Sandra, who guided me through the early quests in order to get to the town where my shelter was built. She never left my side and played 2 key roles for me.
Well, give her a weapon, you savage. She's punching zombies with her hands.
When it was time to rumble with the undead. Firstly, as soon as a zombie swung at me, she would spring into action to attack it, sometimes even diverting its attention altogether, so that I was free to shoot it from a distance.
Yeah, but she can't get attacked? Is she wearing Crocs?
Secondly, if I went down, she could revive me before the timer ran out, so long as she wasn't also down.
Oh, look. This game has a fucking timer, so you don't die. Zero company. What are we doing?
The downside to companions is that you need to keep them kitted up with supplies because they suffer from the same things you will without them. though you can also direct them to stay in your shelter to craft stuff and maintain things while you're away.
So you are collecting people to come into your town to be slaves for you. All right.
Thirst, and especially hunger, were constant adversaries for me early on. It was very difficult to find enough food for 2 people in the town that became the host of my starter settlement, and after exhausting all the berry bushes in the nearby woodlands, I wouldn't find any real sustenance until we ventured out into harm's way, eventually raiding an old grocery store.
If my NPCs, I have yet to see the actual zombie attack the NPC, just give them weapons and let them fight.
Store for raw veggies and cans of whatever we can find. Planting farms is a long-term possibility for a sustainable food source, but I didn't have time to invest in the limited playtest to see a burgeoning carrot patch grow to the size of any real value. Going hungry can be dangerous, as you won't passively heal anymore, and when you're truly starving, you can actually start to lose health. It took me an unfortunately long time to get a reasonable amount of food, and to invest in enough recipes.
What are you doing? That's the first thing you do in a post-apocalyptic thing. You set up food. You find food.
To turn that food into reliable hunger killers before I could move on to the big goal in front of me, driving into the danger zone. Zeland's map is spotted with the remains of smaller towns, along with a couple bigger urban areas boasting a higher density of abandoned stuff to find and zombies to guard it. But uniquely, a deadly reddish fog covers big swaths of the map, including a tower I needed to get to call for survivors.
Quarantine camp! Please!
In this fog are stronger versions of the normal Zeds and gnarlier mutants who barely qualify as being called a zombie at all. You need a special mask with limited filtering capacity
See,
to
look,
navigate
nobody's attacking her.
These sections, but
you give them weapons, let them go.
Not being poisoned to death. So every excursion is on the clock. The hardest part of getting to the foggy city in my playtest run was finding enough gas to get there by vehicle. It took a very long time for me to find enough fuel to get started, let alone enough to get all the way to the destination. And for me, a vehicle seems necessary, as I couldn't imagine traveling through the fog zones on foot with the increased amount of violence.
Literally a bicycle right there. Literally a bicycle you just hit. I mean, this guy didn't even know to look for food.
Zeds lurking behind every bush and building. Fighting my way through the fog and into the tower was easier than attempting to escape the zone, as my respirator ran out and it was now a race to see if I could speed a hijacked fire truck to safety before I succumbed to the fog.
It's so janky.
I didn't. But instead of dying outright, I was presented with an interesting option. Respawn as normal or become a Zed myself. I resisted the urge to mutate into a monster, as I was determined to see this quest through before the playtest ended, but the dangling carrot of becoming the enemy really stuck with me long after the playtest ended. From what I've gathered about the experience, you actually can grow and mutate based on the other creatures you consume, be they animals, other Zeds, or other players. It's unclear how long you can go on this way. Could I hypothetically just abandon all the stuff I built and be a Zed forever?
Well, there's no denying you're more likely to survive.
I would assume that once you die as a zombie, okay, you would get asked again if you want to be human or continue as a zombie. And if you continue as a human, then you get dropped somewhere on the map, and then you would find your base again, and then you can continue with your base.
Survive than I am.
That joins a lot of other lingering questions I still have for Zeland as a whole. Like,
the question is, why would you want to be a zombie?
What kind of unique challenges will higher level encounters bring? What kind of gameplay does co-op add outside of doing the same thing but with friends? And what exactly am I supposed to do with all this poop I keep accumulating? Outside of these mysteries, Zeland is...
Well, you could probably take the poop that you're finding and use it as fertilizer so you could grow a garden, and then you could eat. I don't know if you know that.
Tedious in the same ways a lot of zombie survival games can be, but it's fun and creative in ways a lot of its
I just remembered why I stopped watching IGN.
Peers aren't. Will this be enough to pull you away from your current favorite survival obsession? For more previews of the biggest upcoming games, don't...
All right, so there you go. we'll put that in the description down below as well for those of you that want to know more. That was IGN. Man, we haven't watched an IGN video in quite some time. Yeah, the game looks okay. I mean, I'm interested in it. I like survival games. Put it on the wish list. Keep track of it. Yeah, the early access is going to help that game out dramatically. But if this is coming out next year, just you might as well close it down. Close it down. People do not understand the wave of destruction that's coming in when Grand Theft Auto, comes out into the world. Okay, all of it, all games that come in after. As soon as the online hits for Grand Theft Auto, all these other game companies will be like, "Oh, no one bought our game. No one's playing our game. There's no one covering our game." It's just going to be Grand Theft Auto all the time, 24/7 for the next 8 months. That's what it's going to be. That's what's going to happen. All right, we watched a lot of stuff today. Tonight, 7 p.m., over on Fake Wizard News, we'll be over there talking about some gaming news and whatever else we're talking about. I don't know. We'll find that out once we show up on the show. And then after that, we're going to be playing some RV There Yet with Sarge around like 9:15 in the evening. And then we'll be back for the Daily Grind tomorrow. And then GXG, episode 497, tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern. Appreciate it very much. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. If you'd like to go above and beyond that, become a member as little as $5. Eclipse says, in those 8 months will be hell for me. Are you playing GTA or you're not playing GTA? Or it says, maybe if we added a way to cure ourselves as a zombie, only 5, you get a limited amount of time to do so. Perhaps. It's kind of weird, though, going around collecting body parts to make yourself a better zombie to attack your fellow friends now. I mean, but they said PvE, not PvP, so it's a little weird. You don't think he's going to play it? All right, chat. We'll see you tonight. 7 p.m. over on Fake Wizard, 9 p.m. over on our 30 and Still Gaming channel. Just Nuff says, when GTA 6 comes out, I'll quit the internet and just read books for 8 months. There you go. It's a good goal. Good luck to you. I'll see you guys. You guys have a great rest of your day, evening, or night. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.
Another showcase, another lie, another trail of money can't buy. Marketing teams with panic in their eyes, watching one day swallow up the sky. Publishers hiding, moving release plans, years of development buried in the sand. We'll launch next month, they quietly say, cause nobody wants to die that day. Coffee stain meetings, executives pray, looking at projections, watching